So in our investigation here of what is the area that we're looking at right now, we are in the Holy Island Harbor. That is basically the name that the game gives to this area. You can see it's the Holy Island Harbor, and here we see the North Sea. Over here is what the actual game is portraying as more likely the location of the abbey that the Vikings plundered, the Lindisfarne Abbey. If that is called the North Sea, I'm not going to discuss that. It could be possible, but thanks to the technology of nowadays, we can take Google Earth and place ourselves in exactly the position that apparently Ulf is located right now. The location appears to be this area because if we go to the historical records, we're going to see that the actual place of plunder was the Lindisfarne Priory, which is nowadays located over here. Now, returning to the game here, we can see that in front of us we have water. This is perhaps, as it is stated in the actual game, it is a small island, but it is perhaps just for the game balancing purposes in terms of the map, because there is possibly not an island here according to the Google Maps map, but we are going to do our best effort to investigate and to understand what is this beautiful skybox that we have in front of us. What we're looking right in front of us is basically mainland England. So this is probably a good starting point to get ourselves understood on what we are seeing here. Over there, it is what the game represents as the actual Abbey of Lindisfarne. Well, actually, there's no exactly the Abbey over there. There's a huge city that these guys must take. So these guys must even destroy the walls when you are playing the campaign. This is, by the way, the last part of the campaign of the Vikings. But over there, we can see that that is the representation of the actual, let's say, city, but there's no actual city in history. So we could say that for the purposes of the final part of the campaign and to make it more epic, I think that these guys made this last part a little bit different from history. We can see that this is a pretty strong city. This is a city with walls, and there's a lot of population here, big walls that you can see, and a big door. And obviously this is the part that you have to destroy in order to enter into this section over here. In history, as you can see in the map from the Google Earth, it is clearly a place that was completely undefended. This is precisely the reason the Vikings were able to destroy and to plunder the place, because it was a place that it was completely undefended. This precise moment in history would haven't happened if the city per se would have been exactly what we're seeing here. Lindisfarne's monastery in real life was a mix of stone and wooden structures located on a tidal island. The game captures the isolated coastal setting faithfully, though the architecture is simplified for gameplay. Archaeological finds from excavations confirm a modest, fortified religious site, not a large castle. What is my view on this chapter, and how do I feel about this specific dramatic end of the campaign with the Vikings? Well, I could say that for the elements of the game, I think the end of the campaign is pretty epic. The way in which you can invade and destroy the walls is pretty nice in a game perspective, and especially for a last battle for the exact campaign of the Vikings. But If I am going to talk about historicity and how this is going to affect the views of some of the less understood in the actual facts that happen in history, I think this is going to be a little bit misleading. Sometimes I think that you have to understand the history behind what you are actually playing, especially if you are a wargamer, before going and doing your own understanding based on what you are seeing. Because more often than not, as we already know, the game is going to portray a little bit different the situations that happen in history. If you are to attack a small priory in an island that is completely not protected, then you are going to have a very small skirmish and not a big battle. Eventually, all of these settlers that appear in Ancestors Legacy are not exactly historically accurate, because this is going to be a small warband that is going to reach the island and is going to attack in small pockets the actual monastery. So at the end, I would say that for gameplay purposes, I think it is amazing how they depicted it, but it is not exactly historically accurate. I think that there are several important historical aspects that must be clarified when you are engaged with these games. Thank you for watching. This was my analysis on the last battle in Lindisfarne for Ancestors Legacy, the Viking faction.